Hello everyone, my name is Aslan and I will be talking about the Mungo Man and Mungo Lady and its significance on Australian history. In 1968, geologist Jim Bowler discovered bones emerging from the lake Mungo Lunet. He covered those bones and left. The following year he returned with his colleagues and collected those bones and determined that the bones were of a female human. There were burn marks that were found on her bones, which implied an unusual ritual that when she died, her corpse was burned, smashed, and then probably burnt again to ensure by her descendants that she did not return to haunt them. 5 years later, Jim Bowler found more bones just a quarter of a kilometer from where Mungo Lady's remains were found. This turns out to be the skeleton of a male named, or later named, Mungo Man. Mungo Man was buried with his limbs stretched out, his hands crossed across his groin, and was covered in ochre that had been brought from more than 200 kilometers away. It was some of the earliest uncovered evidence of ritualistic burial in the world, and proof that early Aboriginal Australians had a robust belief and burial system. The way he was buried fascinated scientists and suggested that he was a man respected and admired by his community. These two discoveries are the oldest human remains found anywhere in Australia. Lake Mungo, located in a remote corner of the red rubbled Australian outback some 700 kilometers west of Sydney. Lake Mungo isn't actually a lake, well, at least not anymore. But up until about 20,000 years ago, this landscape was an Aboriginal paradise with easy hunting and abundant resources. Today it is a World Heritage Area, meaning it's one of the most significant places in the world, both rich in environment and also what has been discovered here about the people who lived here in ancient times, now ancient history. Before the discovery of Mungo Man by Jim Bowler, the common theory amongst scientists was that Aboriginals came to Australia from Asia some 20,000 years ago. But Bowler's discovery of Mungo Man pushed that date back for another 20,000 years, making Aboriginal people time on this land far more back than one could have imagined. Also, Mungo Man ritualistic burial proved that a sophisticated culture had emerged on the far side of the Indian Ocean from Africa much earlier than anyone could ever have imagined, except for Aboriginals. Further archaeological finds at Lake Mungo point to human occupation of the area as far back as 50,000 years ago, making it one of the world's most important archaeological sites for understanding human evolution and prehistory. How did they come here and survived? Well, we have so far established that humans arrived at the lake about 40,000 years ago. It is speculated that they came here by following a river from the coast. They would have found an area full of life. People could have waded and hunted for fish or dived for yabbies and shellfish. We know from middens, which are the sites holding food waste from that time, that the people who lived at the lake ate freshwater mussels, fish, crayfish, birds, eggs, mammals, and small birds. They built fires to cook their meals, made tools from stone, and used ochre to paint their bodies. There were different interpretations following the discovery of the Mungo Man that Aboriginals were not the first to inhabit Australia. The earliest study was interpreted as evidence that Aboriginal people were not the first Australians and that Mungo Man represented an extinct lineage of modern humans that occupied the continent before Aboriginal Australians. However, Griffith University researchers have found evidence that demonstrates Aboriginal people were actually the first to inhabit Australia. The scientists from Griffith University's Research Centre for Human Evolution recently used new DNA sequencing methods to reanalyze the remains of Mungo Man from the World Heritage listed landscape of the Willandra Lakes region, which is in far western New South Wales. Professor Lambert from Griffith University said that it was clear that incorrect conclusions had been drawn in relation to Mungo Man in the original study. He said that the sample from Mungo Man, which we retested, contained sequences from 5 different European people, suggesting that these all represent contamination. At the same time, he reanalyzed more than 20 of the other ancient people from Wilander region. He and his team were successful in recovering the genomic sequence of one of the early inhabitants of Lake Mungo, which was a man buried very close to the location where Mungo man was originally buried. He concluded that by going back and reanalyzing the samples with more advanced technology, we have found compelling support for the argument that Aboriginal Australians were the first inhabitants of Australia. Now, to conclude my presentation, analyzing the DNA was like looking into the deep past back to the first wave of humans migrating out of Africa. Rather than exploring Asia, the first Australians headed south. They split from the rest of the society about 60 to 70,000 years ago, and then they were on their own. They stayed in splendid isolation, while in theory they should have gone extinct as a human migration that had reached a dead end. Their survival wasn't due to any special technology. They built connections and networks across the continent. They had the ability to connect with each other and adapted to the environment. As for the Mungo man crosses many boundaries between science and traditional cultures, between past and present, between black and white, between life and death. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.